Hello everyone, welcome. My name is Dina and this is my channel about cross stitch, and I am participating right now in the Stitch Mania phenomenon. This is week 4. I pulled out my Advent animals and I went ahead and I started Sophie Squirrel as my new start today instead of Freezing Season. So there's Sophie. She's precious. I think she's a bit of a comical girl. I think she likes to have a good time in a great way. I think she has a great sense of humor. And I say that because she's got her deer antlers on and she has painted up her acorn red and green, so she's in the spirit of Christmas. But what tickles me about her is the back stitching on her mouth. It's actually a little crooked to make her look like she's got a little smirk on her face. I think it's precious. And I decided to do mine the same way. So I don't know if that was intentional or not, but that's how it came across to me. And I'm happy to say I think she looks really well on my fabric. So here's Sophie Squirrel. I think she's adorable. And I love the little sparkles in her eyes. And I almost couldn't find the directions to do that. The back stitching directions are great. They have the color and they'll tell you 3 strands for this, like the border, 2 strands for these parts of the picture, and 1 strand here. It did say 1 strand of white for snowflakes and sparkles. Sparkles and snowflakes or something like that. And it took me a little bit to realize that the sparkles were in her eyes, not sparkles on the background, which is what I thought they meant at first. So anyway, I found it. But I could tell from the pattern, it was there in the pattern to do something, to do a little back stitch just over 1 square. And I went looking for the directions and I finally figured out, you know, that's what they meant when they said sparkles. So anyway, it was just me probably being tired because it's very late. I won't tell you how late it is because it's very late. My dog has abandoned me and gone to bed. It's that late. But I finished it and I'm really happy about that. So this is another finish for Stitch Mania. It's too late for me to remember how many that's been, but I believe it's been 3 or 4. So that's awesome. I think that's really nice. Today it was also a little interesting because there were 2 new colors or 3 new colors called for that weren't already pulled for this, because I pulled all the colors for the first one and I've just been adding to them as I've needed something new. 2 of the colors that I needed new tonight I didn't have in my box, in my DMC box. And I thought, oh dear, I wonder if I've got them somewhere else. I looked through my whips, several of them, all of them that had a DMC box, you know, for my projects. I keep my DMC in little boxes like this for my projects. So I went and had to pull them out. I found one of the colors I needed in one and another color I needed in another one. So I took the first one out that I found I needed and I went ahead and stitched all of it, all of the color, and put it back in that box and put it back away. And then I got out the second one and I did the same thing. So I am having to, because I've kitted up so many things for Mania, I'm having to go in and borrow the colors when I'm working on something. But it worked out okay and I got my finish. So I'm really excited about that. And now that makes 6 on this row, 6 on this row, 6 on this row. And so now I'm ready to drop down to my final row on this fabric, which will give me another 6, and that'll be 18 of the 25 on one piece of fabric. Pretty excited about that. So my day went very well. I hope yours have. Well, happy stitching, everyone. I will talk to you hopefully tomorrow with another new start. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back. This is Dina, and today is Sunday. It is the 24th of May, and I had a new start for Stitch Mania today. This was a very special start because this start is in memory of Leanne. So, Barb, if you're watching, just know that you're in my thoughts and prayers. And I just so admire you for carrying on and doing such a wonderful job of it. And just know that you are loved and you're thought of and prayed for regularly. So I decided to stitch Wintertime in memory of Leanne because she stitched it, then Barb stitched it, and then they did a tutorial showing her finish for Barb. And so I won't ever see this pattern that I don't think of Lost in Floss and Barb and Leanne, and just that relationship between Barb and Leanne, that beautiful friendship, was just gorgeous to watch. And so I wanted to do this one because they both participated in this one, and it just reminds me of both of them so much. So I did get started on it today. I am stitching mine on 32 count Sandcastle Jobelin, and I love it. It's got a beautiful reddish modeling to it. And so today, for my start, I did the entire top border. That's edge to edge. So I've decided not to close in and go down the sides yet because I'm going to stitch Wintertime all the way across, so that I can make sure I have all the room in there before I close it in with the side border. There is one other thing I would like to mention about this pattern. All of the words that are in the background here, cardinals, white, cozy, all those words, the full word is there and you stitch it. There is one word here, windy, where the W is not part of the same font. It's not part of that word like these are complete. It actually uses this big W for both winter and windy. So I didn't like that because I don't like that difference. I was looking for the W, for windy. So I just took my working copy of my pattern and I have charted over the word windy. I've replaced that with the year 2020. So I will have a remembrance for Leanne, and then I'll have the year on there that I stitched it. So that's what I'm doing. Anyway, that is my 24th day of Mania for you. I made a unique discovery today. When you have so much to plan for, you can easily leave something out or forget something. And I've explained what happened with the sleds, and I'm gonna get those in time that I could go ahead and start them, but I've decided not to because I realized today I did not have my Sleepy Hollow on my list of whips for some reason that I used when I plotted out all of my days in Stitch Mania. And I need to touch every whip. I want to touch every whip this month because next month is a Christmas in July. In June is the next month, but in July is Christmas in July. So next month I definitely want to touch all of my whips again. But I don't want to miss them this month. So Sleepy Hollow somehow got left out. And so I wanted to make sure that I included it. So instead of starting one of those sled starts in Mania, I'm taking both of them out. And I had already substituted in Sophie Squirrel for one of them. And so now I'm going to substitute in my Sleepy Hollow for the other. And then those two will get started in Christmas in July. So they'll be fine. I'll have both of those started, I think, in enough time that I can gift them. So that is my day today. I don't want to keep you too late because we have a busy day tomorrow. My husband and I are going house hunting, and we've had quite a bit of activity at our home, people coming to see our home, and We've had a couple of offers on our home that, you know, didn't work out. So at least we know it's moving, and we felt like we would feel more comfortable if we went out and found our new home so we had somewhere to go. And we're also considering whether we really want to go through the process of moving, or is there some things we can do here to make this home meet all of our needs now that we have a dog and we need a fenced-in yard and things like that. So we'll let you know how it goes. But thank you all for sending me your warm wishes and best wishes for our house hunting, and you know, checking to see how things are going. I appreciate that so much. Also, I guess I should give you an update on our church service this morning. My husband and I sang in a quartet to lead the music, and so it was a huge thing for me because I mentioned that we sing in a choir, but my husband has a beautiful voice. He's a soloist in the church. I have a very small voice. It's not full, it's not loud, you know, it's just small, but it adds volume to the choir. But for some reason, our choir leader had asked if Tommy and I both would sing in this quartet, which meant I was the only alto singing. I sing alto, and that was nerve-wracking for me. It was very, very much out of my comfort zone. And then on top of that, instead of a few songs, instead of 2 or 3 songs, we actually sang about 6. So heaven to Betsy. And then on top of that, our minister of music asked me to sing a solo, which I've done once in my lifetime when my son was 3 to 4 years old, and I vowed I'd never do it again. I was so nervous. So fortunately, it was just one verse of a song, and so I could eke that out, and I did. But I'm glad it's over. And my husband and I talked about it today, and I told him I just don't think that is one of my gifts. I just don't think I'll do that again. We've got great friends, and people have sent comments to us today telling us how, you know, much they appreciated it and that we did a good job. But yeah. I'm not a soloist. Don't ask me to sing, okay? The only person I ever sing to would be my child when he was a baby. And then now I sing happy birthday to my sister Stephanie every year. And that's it. And she tolerates that pretty well because, you know, she's so kind. But anyway, it went okay. And we didn't mess up so badly that we can't walk back in the church without being embarrassed. So we're all right. I just wanted to thank all of you that were, you know, talking with me privately about my nervousness, and I appreciate it very much. So enjoy your stitching tomorrow, I hope. I won't get started till later in the afternoon, but for good reason, so that's okay. And tomorrow is a new start, and it is a beautiful little motif, and the name of it is Fleur de Lis. And so I need to pull it out and make sure I have all the threads, because I don't even remember if I got them all in. I think it was one that I had to order some, and I had a hard time finding all of them. So I'm going to check it tomorrow, and hopefully I'll have enough to get started, but I'll let you know. So good night, everybody, and I'll talk to you soon. Happy stitching. Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Dina, and today is the 25th of May. Here's my new start for today. This is a Fleur de Lis. I think it's beautiful. It sort of reminds me a little bit of ink circles. And this is by Scissor Tail Designs out of Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I'll show you their information there. Scissor Tail Designs, there's their website and everything. This just caught my eye. I thought it was very pretty, and I'm using the called for colors and everything, and just got started on it this afternoon after we got home, and haven't even taken it off the floor stand or out of the Q-snap. I got finished with what I was going to stitch, and turned the camera on and said, let's film it and go to bed. So here's where I got today. I think that's a great start. It's actually 660 stitches. And I did something that I thought was a pretty good idea. And I'm sure you guys have done this, but just in case you haven't, I did the border. I started over here in the upper left-hand corner because that's where I like to start when I can. And I stitched this all the way across. And then when I got to here, I counted down and I started this in the corner where it was supposed to be. And then I stitched all the way back across to here, and I counted up in this corner, and it was 1x short. So I was able to add that 1x on this end without any trouble, and everything is lined up perfectly. And then I came down and did this side. So I went all the way over and down, and then started in this corner and worked my way back and made sure I had this one long enough before I started down on that one. And so I was able to add that one little stitch I had miscounted somehow along the way, and was just one short. And so now I can come on down with the border much as I want to, because I know that I have the width where it should be. So this color I counted down because there'll be stitching in between here to cover my thread. I just went ahead and carried that thread down and finished those two motifs, one on this side and one on this side, because it each finished a strand, and so that was wonderful. But I love the colors. This one is highly variegated. These are not, but they are very pretty. So that was my new start today. I'm excited that I got that done. Anyway, I hope you're still enjoying your stitching, especially if you're still doing Mania. I hope you're not burned out yet. I had originally thought that I would do new starts and whips, Christmas whips only, in the month of July. But I don't think I'm going to do that for a couple of reasons. One, I definitely need to work on Friends. I've got to complete an entire section of that chart in the month of July in order to stay on track. And that may take me, I don't know, 2 or 3 days. I don't know how long it's going to take me. And then I have probably enough Christmas whips to work on a different one every week, and you know, and maybe not even get through them all. So I'm going to look at that. I'll do some planning on that, and sometime in June I'll come back and tell you what I'm going to do, because in June I have a big start coming up. In June I'm starting my Teresa Wentzler mermaid, and I know there are several that are starting a Teresa Wentzler pattern on the same day, which will be June 15th. So Anne, I hope you're ready. I know Anne is going to join me, and I know there are several others. Melody may be joining me. Anyway, if you've got a Teresa Wentzler and you want to start it on June 15th, I hope you'll join us. We're just going to do a Teresa Wentzler Sal 2020, or TW Sal 2020, I think is what we're going to do. Keep it shorter. But I will close up shop here for tonight, and I'm going to go hit the hay. And I will talk to you, hopefully, with either a whip progress or a new start tomorrow for day 26 of Mania. Happy stitching, everyone. Good night. Good morning, everyone. Welcome back. This is Dina, and today is Wednesday. It's the 27th of May. We are definitely winding this thing down. I'm very excited that I've had such a great Mania this year, and yesterday was no exception. I had a new start, and it was a pattern that had been gifted to me, and it's So Sisters. And I did change mine a little bit. I looked at this, and I decided that everything fits together in the theme. You know, the two women, she has a thimble, she has the scissors, they both have needle and thread. And this plant in here is actually the tomato pin cushions, and then these the greenery up here has little strawberries hanging down. So there's the strawberries that are normally attached to the pincushion. It's so cute, and I really like it. And I can't for the life of me figure out what the flowers have to do with the sewing. So I decided that I just wouldn't do them. They didn't really appeal to me the way everything else did. So I took them off, and guess what? It all fits perfectly in there. So I'll just kind of crop it here and here, and I'll just have the picture in the middle here. So sisters. So I started here on the top left-hand corner for my new start yesterday, and I was able to put in about 313 stitches. So I got a decent start, and this is where I am at. Now this is a 32 count linen remnant. This is what was left of the fabric that I had started the Nativity on originally. And the Nativity, the thing that I didn't like about it was the 1/1 stitching in the faces just lost all of the detail in the face. They looked deformed. And I think it was because this is linen and it's very uneven. It has a lot of little tiny strings in it. Instead of them being mostly the same, these are really vastly different. And I think that's what happened. So I noticed in this pattern, these faces are charted for either 2/2 or 1/2, depending on your fabric count, or there's also a chart in here for 1/1. And I am delighted to find out that it's actually charted for both, because I intend to do 2/2, simply because I don't want to get in that same situation of having my faces look odd because of the differences in the threads. So I'm thrilled to find out that I don't have to do these faces 1/1 on this fabric, since that was what I had a problem with this fabric before. I'm really relieved. Can't tell you how much. So that's my start. I'm real happy about it. I will definitely have fabric left over again after this piece, because this is almost the full width. There is probably, well, maybe this much more to go, you know, like a corner over here, but I'll have all that left. So maybe enough for a little small or something. But I like using up remnants of my fabrics. They're so costly, you know, to get the pretty stuff, and I try to use every space I can in it. Coco's at the groomer's today, so I'm going to try to get my stitching started early this morning, and you know, get with it while I have the time uninterrupted, and hopefully get a little bit done before I have to go pick her up. So I have another new start today, and it is scissors and threads. And so I will be pulling it out of my Mania basket in there, which is getting empty. It's awesome. And I'll get it started today. So Mania is still going for me to the 31st, and I was jokingly telling a couple of people this past week that, you know, lesson learned, I might not do that again. Might not do 31 days again, because everyone is starting to publish their videos of their wrap up, and their, you know, Mania is done for them, and they're going back to sort of normal stitching. And I actually hit a bit of fatigue this week. I was surprised. For the first time when I went to start a new start, I felt like, oh God, another new start. Oh man, you know, but it was so sisters. And so I'm really glad I saved it, you know, toward the end, because I wanted to start it really bad. And so that kind of got me over that feeling. Now today I'm all fired up and enthused again. I'm okay. And so I might have just been tired. I don't know. But it will give me some good experience to draw on when I plan for next year. I do have Christmas in July plans starting to formulate, and they are different than what I thought they were going to be. I had originally thought I was going to do like another Mania and start all the new things and work on all my Christmas whips and have another whole month of that. And I think now, feeling the way that I do, that I'm a little weary. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to pick some things and maybe have a few starts in July, but I'm going to work on all my Christmas whips. And I'm still going to do a Christmas in July, but it will not be a new start every day. Not going to do it. I just don't feel, I don't mind having that many whips, really, because then I'll just pick the ones I want in my rotation. But I think that having to calculate and recheck all that and calculate where to start, I love to do it. But after you've done it for so many days in a row, I feel like I need a little break. You know, just I don't want to get fatigued and injure my stitchy bug, if you know what I mean. So I hope you're having a great time. I hope you're still enjoying your stitching, whether you're doing Mania or not. And I will hopefully have something to show you later this evening or in the morning. I'll show you what I did today and keep you posted. So also want to say hats off to all of you that have been watching, because I got the 3rd response out of 5 today with their mailing address. So I'm only waiting on 2 more people to send me their mailing address, those that won. And so I'm really excited about that. And thank you for responding so quickly. I love getting this in the mail to you. I did go to the post office yesterday and mailed 4 packages. One was a final giveaway from a previous video, and then 3 were from the celebration of the subscribers. So I appreciate your prompt response to that. Thank you. And I hope you enjoy your packages when they arrive. Well, I will talk to you soon, everybody. It's a rainy day here. It's dark and cloudy and kind of cool. It's a perfect day for stitching. We'll talk to you soon. Bye. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Thursday, May 28th. So I want to give you an update of what I was able to work on yesterday, because I won't be starting on my new start today until I get home this afternoon. So I wanted to show what I decided to work on yesterday. This is part of the Sew Together series by Jeanette Douglas. This one's called Scissors and Threads. And this is what it looks like. Sorry for the bit of glare there, but I didn't want to take it back out of the plastic. I'm trying to keep it clean and pristine. This was an easy start and a wonderful stitch. I am enjoying it very, very much. But when I pulled this out, I realized that this was the one I had bought all the sulky thread to go with. I'll show you one of my spools of sulky thread there. I went through with the pattern. There isn't a conversion on the pattern, but I went through when I was at Sassy Jack's, and I just looked at the colors in here, and I picked sulky thread that I felt like would match as close as possible to each of these colors that I could see in the pattern. So when I got ready to start yesterday, I looked at my sulky threads, and I had not written down the conversion. So I had to go back through it just again and pair everything up. And that's when I decided that I wanted to put a little more blue in here, because I'm a blue person. I have a blue sewing room. And so instead of this darker border, I did a blue border. And I'll show that to you in just a minute. But one of the other things I noticed when I grabbed this to start yesterday is I had never put fabric with it. I was so excited about having those sulky threads and getting to try sulky threads that I never ever went about picking a fabric. So I looked at this piece and I thought, I think I have another one of these, and I didn't. I had it in my wish list. So I went online and I looked, and there are 3 that have birds and 3 that have the same kind of color tone. And then the 4th one is about pins and needles or something, and it has a lot of red in it, much more so than the others do. So I decided I would like to stitch a trio of these together on one piece of fabric if I had a piece of fabric large enough. So I went in through my fabric stash, and I looked and looked and looked, and I finally found it. I couldn't do it on 32 count, which is my preference now, but I did have a piece of 28 count that Lugana that I thought would work really, really well. And it's actually called Springfield Sage. It's beautiful. And I went through and looked again at the other two patterns that I would like to stitch with it, and I think they will be beautiful in the same color palette and on the same fabric. So here's my start. I started way over to the side because my plan is to stitch the 3 across here and then frame them together as one piece. So here's my start on scissors and threads. You'll see I did the blue border, and the sage green is showing up almost like a neutral for you guys, but it is actually a very pale sage green. It's beautiful. And the colors look great on it. So this is my start. I think that's a very, very good start. I was really pleased with it. And I went online and ordered the other 2 patterns because I thought, you know, this one's gonna go quick and I would love to stitch both of these up, you know, and have the other additional 2 and have this trio done this year, if possible, if not early next year. But there's my first one, scissors and threads. I've got it started and I'm ready to go. So that's my update from yesterday. I had mentioned in my little clip yesterday that I would probably come back this morning because I felt like it would take me a little while to get a good start and it might be pretty late last night. As it turned out, it wasn't too bad. About 10:30, so that's earlier than a lot of nights that I've stitched. So I'm excited about that. Well, I'm gonna let you get back to your stitching. I'm gonna go get Coco ready for her visit, and I will tell you how it went next time we talk. Happy stitching, everyone. Hello again, it's Dina. I'm back to give you a report on how I did today in my Stitch Mania. It was a whip day. Today was Sleepy Hollow. And when I worked on this last, I had brought the border down just a little bit on each side to about right here, I think. And then I had started working on this tree, and I had gotten the tip top of it done and backstitched, but I only had parts of this lower branches done to about right here. And so today I finished up the colors in those lower branches, and I went ahead and I backstitched the rest of the tree. And that may not sound like a lot, and it may not look a whole lot different to you than when you saw it last, but it is actually 523 stitches that I did in here today. And that is counting 2 stitches of backstitch as 1 cross stitch. So 2 for 1. And so I divided it in half, actually. So here's where I'm at. But I really hope you can tell the difference in the backstitching makes for that tree. It just pops right off the fabric. I do want to talk about the fabric right now. This is a beautiful fabric from Hand Dyed Fabrics by Stephanie, and it's called Banshee. I've had lots of questions about it. Every time I show it, somebody will ask me what it is. So I just wondered if Gary from Sunshine Stitchers, if he's ever stitched on Banshee, because Gary, if you haven't, you need to. As much Halloween as you do, you need Banshee. I think it is gorgeous, and it's perfect for this piece. So I'm loving it. Well, that's my progress on that piece today, and I'm very, very pleased with it. One of the things I'm excited about is that today, stitching on this, I decided to do all that back stitching because I wasn't stitching for a prompt. It didn't matter how many stitches I got because I didn't need a certain number. So I could just relax, stitch on the tree, back stitch on the tree, and then when I finished and I counted up my stitches, I was so surprised to have that many. So it worked out really well. I didn't feel pressured, and it was lovely to just sit and stitch and talk. I did have a Zoom call while it was on for a thing at church, so that worked out really, really well. I have some haul to share with you. I don't have a lot of haul usually, but you'll get a kick out of this one. I did. My sleds came in. These are bigger. My other ones are about this long. So my whole piece will fit on here. But this is interesting. This is all that came. There's no perforated paper with it. So, you know, I had actually said in my last video that I uploaded that I thought about going ahead and cutting some perforated paper in my stash and starting the piece anyway because it was in my Mania as a start. And then I thought, no, the paper will come with the sled, and then I'll have 2 pieces cut, you know, to put back in my stash that I won't be able to use for anything else. No, didn't come. So not only did I order the wrong size sled the first time, the second time it didn't come with the paper. So now I do have to go and cut the paper in my stash. I'll get these done at some point. They're gonna be a gift, so I do need to get them done. But I'm probably gonna have them in Christmas in July. So you'll get to see them again. Tomorrow is also a whip. It's Christmas garden, and I'm very excited about working on that. It's been a little while since I've been able to touch it, and it's been calling my name. So I'm very happy that that's what I'm working on tomorrow. So hopefully I'll be able to share some progress with you tomorrow on Christmas garden. I hope you are enjoying your stitching. If you're still doing Mania, I hope that you are gonna make it all the way through to the end. Hang in there, you're almost there. And if you finished, I know you're relieved. Kind of sitting back and saying, whoo, glad that's over, huh? It's been a wonderful, wonderful month. So I will talk to you soon, and good night. Hi everyone, welcome back. This is Dina, and today is Friday, and it is the 29th of May. Wow, 29 days of Mania so far. 2 more to go. Today is a whip day, and I worked on my Christmas garden. Thrilled with this piece. I cannot tell you how much fun I'm having stitching this. Really, really fun. So when I left off last time, I had completed this row where these 2 deer are and the 2 flower pots are on each end. And so today, when I started, I came back up here and picked up the border and brought it down on both sides. I wound up doing 3 flowers on each end, the greenery and the flowers on each side, down 3. So I did a total of 6 of those. And then I did this gold, beautiful row across there. And believe it or not, it was 585 stitches to get that done today. So I will show it to you now on my roller frame. Here's where I am. Isn't that beautiful? Now, sometimes things happen that I don't quite understand, because I count and count and count before I place anything, and it all seems to be lining up perfectly. But today, when I started putting this in, I started on this side, lined it up with this flower just so. And I started stitching, and when I got to here, my row there was gonna be touching the bottom row of this basket, because it actually is supposed to have 1 more row, and it did have. I had to frog it out. I think it looks fine. I don't think it takes away, you know, from the motif at all. But I don't know why that was 1 row too low. And I checked it, and I had stitched it exactly per the pattern. So obviously somehow I started this piece one stitch lower than it should have, and I didn't realize it. So anyway, this is lined up correctly with this flower, and it's lined up correctly with this flower. So I think whatever's off in here, taking that 1 row out here, took care of it. So it's now been personalized, and it's fine with me. It looks great. So I'd say I'm about 1/3 of the way through with this. I'm very happy about that, and glad I got to touch it again. It is on my 10 and 20 for the year, so I'm gonna have to get busy, because we're about to hit June, which is halfway through the year. And even though this goes to February, I still think that I'm only 1/3 of the way there. And so I need to spend a little more time on this one as we go. So I will try to do that in the coming 6 months. Tomorrow is my last new start for this year's Stitch Mania 2020. It is Little Sheep Virtues. I'm so excited to get started on it, and I'm also a little nervous because I have to do so much counting in the middle, because you have to take out certain things to make it all fit. So I will definitely start somewhere, I think in the middle, and get that big piece done and the border around it so that I know it's gonna fit, get all the border in, and then I can start on those monthly pieces. Won't get all that done tomorrow, obviously not. No, I'm just saying that'll be how I attack this one. But I'll get it started tomorrow, hopefully. Tomorrow's also a virtual stitching date with our Georgia Stitchers. I'm so looking forward to that. I hope to see all the Georgia Stitchers there online for our Zoom call. And other than that, I just hope that I get a good day to start the Little Sheep Virtues. And then I have my Nativity. That's my whip, my last whip, I think. Yeah, and I'm doing it on its anniversary date. So it will be stitched on the day that it was restarted last year in Mania. So I planned it that way so it could be on its anniversary. And it is the only piece that had a birthday from Stitch Mania last year. Really happy about that. So that's a good feeling. All my Mania starts from last year have been completed except for the Nativity restart. And so I'll get to work on it too. I hope you have a fabulous weekend. I am delighted to be able to share all these Mania pieces with you and that you've been interested in seeing them with me. So thank you for coming along on the journey with me. We have 2 days left and I will certainly film those for you, and then it'll be a little more back to normal. May have less frequent videos because I won't have quite so much, I don't think, to work on, but we'll see. Anyway, happy stitching to you this weekend, and to all of you, good night. Good evening, everyone. Welcome back. This is Dina, and it is Saturday. It is the 30th of May. I have 1 day left of Stitch Mania. I tell you what, it has been awesome. Absolutely an awesome experience. And tomorrow I'm working on the Nativity, which is my final whip, and it's on its restart birthday. And so I will put a few stitches in that tomorrow. I don't know if I'll get a chance to do that and film it and then put this summary up. I kind of would like to do that so this would have the rest of my Mania all on one video. So I'll have to see how long it is. So we'll see. We'll look at it after tomorrow. But anyway, today was a new start. This new start has been a year waiting. It is a piece that I am stitching for the second time in many ways, and I don't usually like to repeat things. So I wanted to give enough time between when I did it the first time and when I'm doing it now so that it would feel new again. And it is going to be done a little differently, so it'll feel new that way. But this is the Little House Needleworks combination with Country Cottage Needleworks, where this beautiful piece, Sheep in the Meadow, is in the middle of your picture, and the 12 Little Sheep Virtues are all around it. There are 4 above it, 5 above it, 1 on each side, and 5 below it, to total 12. And I stitched my Afghan with these, and I did them in order of how they were published, 1 through 12, which is great because now I'm going to do this picture in the same order, so they'll flow top to bottom, same way. And I saved all the little buttons in each of the packages. You know, each one has a little button in it. That's the little flowers on that one. And I saved all those because I didn't want them to be in the Afghan, because I was afraid if you leaned up against one of them on the couch or something that it would hurt. And so instead, I saved them for this. So I'll be using the buttons on this. Well, there's a lot of calculating and figuring that goes into combining pieces, and I had a viewer that was kind enough to send me a diagram that she had gotten from a group she was in, and she shared it with me to show me the layout. And also Julie McConnell had told me she had stitched this piece before, and she told me what she had to leave out of Sheep in the Meadow in order for it to fit evenly amongst all these 12. So I have her notes, and they actually match up with what was done by the Facebook group too. So that is going to help me a lot when I start stitching this one. So I decided that I would start at the very top, and I would start with my border, and I would get the border in for the top row, and even maybe stitch the top row before I do the second row with that big piece in the middle that's going to require me to concentrate so hard because I got to skip stitches and do things like that. And when I decided to do this piece, I actually had called Julie McConnell for help with picking a fabric because she had stitched it before. And she is so kind, and she went and pulled a lot of the threads for these patterns, and then she went and pulled different pieces of fabric. I was hoping to do it on a sky blue of some kind to make it look like the sky. And what we discovered is that there are so many different shades of white and off-white and light brown in the sheep that the blue and white cloudy look of a sky, the sheep get lost. So instead we picked a light taupe, and this is my start. Now the border that was recommended by the Facebook group is a very close replica of the borders that go around each of these little pieces, where there's stitches that go, in a point and then back down to make a diamond, and it's just little diamonds all the way around. That's around every single one of those little sheep virtues in my quilt, and I put the border in. But when I got ready to start my border today for my new start, I thought, I don't want something that fiddly because I'm using the rest of my Thread Gatherer Silk and Pearl Acorn Woods as my border. I used this before on a previous project on the Jumpin' Jack Frost. I used it for the lettering because it had all those fall colors in it that those leaves were going to be. And today when I pulled out my threads for these pieces, they were all fall, lots of fall colors, a few spring, but mostly they were fall colors. And I laid this next to my box of threads, and it just looked gorgeous. So I thought, I want to use this in the border. And so I don't want it to be so fiddly, and I don't want it to be so tight that you can't see it. So I adjusted mine a little bit, and you'll notice it looks a little different than maybe the others you've seen that have posted their finishes. But you can see the beautiful variegation in that thread. It goes from, a brown to a gray to a tealy blue gray, and then to a teal blue, and then back to brown. And there's a little bit of green in there too. It's just lovely. So I did mine with a nod back to the diamond shape by having this way, and calculated my own changes as I went to each corner, and then did my separation. I figured this out. I thought of a couple of different things, and I plotted it out with counting pins to see how it would turn out, and this is what I came out with. But I really like it. I think it's pretty. Now the second row will have one of these on each end, and then this middle part will be open for the big piece in the middle, and then this border is repeated again on the bottom. So I had plenty of room. Thank you, Julie. We knew we had room there. I do not have plenty of room here. I didn't see Julie's note quick enough that said only about 2 inches at the top, and I left 3. And so at the bottom, when I get there, I'll only have about 1 inch. But it'll be enough. A good framer should be able to work with that. So This is my new start for today. This is how much I got done today. I'm so tickled. But when I started, I had this whole skein and I had almost half a skein of this color, and I started working on it, and I thought, you know, I don't want to get started on this, run out of silk and can't find it. So I went online today and they do have it, and I ordered 2 skeins of it. So seeing how much I've used today, it looks like this next skein right here will probably do the middle. One of my new skeins, it'll take the whole skein to do that bottom, I think. I may have 1 extra. That's okay with me. I'd much rather have 1 extra than to be short 1. So I am thrilled, absolutely thrilled with how this is coming out. I really am. I've already done the counting in here to make sure I've got the spaces needed. That each of these little ones are 51 by 51. I've got plenty of room to do that, so I'll just find the middle of each one and start and go, or you know, see how many spaces I need to go in, and I can start it at the top or the bottom. But each little one of those could be a monthly stitch. You know, that's how I may push it forward. I don't know. But I have been a little afraid of this start because of how much calculating I had to do and how much checking I had to do. But as it turned out today, my husband took Coco on a long hike, and so I sat down as soon as they left and I got started on it. And I'm glad I did, because I had to do a little testing and playing with this to see, you know, exactly how I wanted to do those breaks. So I'm happy with it, and I like my border. I think it looks lovely, and I think it's going to turn out okay. So that's my last new start for Mania, and I have had a ball. I hope you have. I am going to let you get back to your stitching, and I am going to possibly let this be the last clip, or if I get a chance to film tomorrow before it gets too late in the day where I could still get my video up and out, I'd like to get it out tomorrow to be the summary of the whole last week of Mania. That would be a goal of mine anyway. I hope to be able to accomplish that. So I will talk to you soon. Good night, everyone. Hello. Well, it's May 31st. Mania is in the bag. It's done. It's a wrap. I think that's what I'll call this video. It's a wrap. Today was my final whip. It was the Nativity. And just to remind you, because you don't see it that often, when I picked it up today, these 2 corners were completely stitched with all the cross stitching. And these 4 sort of squares, kind of an artsy square, these 4 shapes, the outline of these 4 shapes were stitched. And the rest of that was blank inside. My goal today was to try to finish the cross stitching inside that border, and the only thing I wanted to leave lacking today would be the beading and the metallic thread, because I'm gonna wait and do that last throughout the piece. So I did it. I am so tickled to be able to share this with you. Here it is. I think it's lovely. Interesting fact, today I stitched 224 stitches. 16 of them were cross stitches. That's all. The rest of the 224 were specialty stitches. Okay, we made it. I started off with the center, which is called a diamond eyelet, because you do a back stitch of a diamond shape around it that defines where your stitches go. And I did that first, and then I came and did these beautiful floral, they actually call them the flower, petals of the flowers. I did those in the lazy daisy stitches. And then when I finished that, I picked up the green for the leaves, and I did the lazy daisy stitches for all these leaves across the top, across there. Then these little tiny squares here are actually eyelet stitches, and they're all in the space of one cross stitch, so they are tiny, tiny little eyelet stitches. The cross stitches are these little pink ones right here, but they couldn't even be normal. They weren't in the space of a normal spot for a cross stitch. They actually were in the corner and went over to, into the corners of where four different cross stitches would have been. Anyway, you had to count really carefully for that. So this is a challenging piece. It really, really is. And I have to stitch on it when I'm fresh, and I have to stitch on it when I'm in the mood to go really slow and take my time and do a lot of counting and that sort of thing. But I'm so pleased with the progress today. Really, really tickled. So Stitch Mania has just been fabulous for me this month, I must say. I wanted to do something really manic. I wanted to really commemorate this year of, sheltering in place and in a positive way, make use of that time. So I decided to do Stitch Mania for 31 days. And I didn't do it too much differently than a lot of you did because I had 20 new starts. So if I had just done that for the first 20 days of Mania, that would have been pretty simple, I think, and straightforward. But you know me, I have to do something a little more complicated, I guess. I wanted to touch my active whips as well, and I did. And so I had 11 whips, and I was able to stitch on every one of them. And I will also let you know that in addition to stitching on 20 new starts and 11 whips, of those 31 pieces, I finished 6 of them. So I finished 5 of my new starts during this month, and I actually had a big finish on happiness. So I'm really, really pleased that I was able to finish one of my whips that wasn't a Mania start from this year. So now the only piece that is still a Mania from 2019 is the Nativity. And it may be around again next year because it's not going to go quick. Anyway, that's it. That's my Mania. I'm wrapping it up. I'm going to tell you, I had a ball. I had an absolute ball. I think having those goals of having something planned every day and wanting to get that done, because it was this special event, was really challenging and wonderful and kept me motivated, and I just thoroughly enjoyed it. And now I'm gonna take the evening off, and I'm gonna watch a new series with my husband and my son. I'm gonna cook us a nice dinner and put my video up. And then tomorrow I'll have a whole new plan, and I'll tell you about it in my next video. I want to thank you all so much for watching my Mania progress and my journey and taking it with me. So many of you have been so encouraging and cheering me on and celebrating my accomplishments with me, and I just want to thank you for that. I enjoy watching everything you've shared about your Mania. Even just if you weren't doing Mania, about your stitching. I find it encouraging and motivating and enabling, Julie McConnell. It's been wonderful. So that's a wrap. Happy stitching, everyone. Good night.